Good morning, Coach. How are you, brother?
Good morning, G-Paw. How you doing, man? Glad to be
Um,
here. Fun morning.
well,
Looking
I want to
forward.
join the entire world listening worldwide to the millions and millions and millions of viewers of the Rocks fans to wish Coach and wife happy anniversary.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. 24 years today.
That's
So I'm
awesome.
just I'm so happy and thrilled to be, that she still wants to be around me. So I must be doing something all right. So I'm just really happy and enjoy my time with my wife.
So I'm going to ask a touchy question, but I know you're my brother, so it's okay.
Yeah.
In your time in your area, have you all caught any flack over your marriage? You,
We
you know
have.
what I'm getting. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying.
know what you're getting at. You know what really is the funniest part is like we can walk into a restaurant and I'm like my shoulder's basically touching her back
Yeah.
of her shoulder, and they'll look at us and look at her and say, "Just one for dinner or whatever." And it's like, no, we're together. We're together. Not really caught any flack lately, but when we were first going out together, we had a little incident where there was a racial thing and happened, and I got really, really upset and angry about it to the point where, as a man, that's my woman. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have a problem. I'm gonna put my hands on you, brother. It's like,
And we're not little fellers.
yeah. So I came back to my father-in-law's house very upset, very angry, and my father-in-law told me something after being black his entire life and black in a country that was a lot different than it is today. And he
Definitely.
said, "I know it's not. He goes, I understand it's upsetting. I've dealt with it my entire life, but he said you're not going to be able to fight everybody, man. So you've got to just take the high road and just keep your mouth closed and get around it because you don't know what they're willing to go, and willing to do and so
Right.
yeah, that was the greatest advice that I got is yeah, it's upsetting, but rather than react to it, that's kind of what a person like that wants you to do is
Right.
to get your reaction and get you be upset and so the only couple of very times ever since that we had any issue, we just ignore it and just pretend like it's not happening or it didn't happen and carry on, and we might acknowledge it after the fact just to one another, but
Right.
it just anything's going to be a challenge. Marriage in itself is a challenge, that,
Oh,
G-Paw.
definitely. I mean,
It's
there's
hard
good
work.
days, bad days too.
So, and you know what? So you just we can't let things like that outside interference make
You're exactly,
interference, right?
you're exactly right.
It's about her and I. It's not about what somebody else thinks. So think what you
Right.
want to think. I don't really care. If you didn't know, my wife was a national award winner. She won the national award for the line officer of the year back in 2017, 2016, 17.
Right.
And right now, this is for like the third time. My wife's under contract with a screenwriter for the movie rights of her story for how she won, and it's behind that whole. She was the probation officer for a white supremacist,
Got
and
you.
so you used to have to go see him at his place all the time, and just it's basically about the way their relationship kind of grew out of respect. And
Right.
this white supremacist had swastika tattoos all over his body.
Yeah.
And so he was living in Colorado at the time in 2017. He goes into a tattoo parlor that's doing free tattoos to cover up any type of hate tattoo. Well,
Okay.
he's on the table getting the swastika covered, and a reporter comes in covering the function, right? People getting this hate tattoos covered, and he just happened to be on the table.
Yeah.
And the reporter comes in and starts asking him about why he's doing this, what led to this change of heart. And he said, I had a probation officer that really believed in me and supported me. And she just happened to be black. Totally changed his outlook on life.
Well, that's awesome.
They did a big story on ABC News. Never was on TV. It was on their website, and the story went viral. Over 60 million people saw this.
No.
So behind that, she became, our county probation officer of the year. She became the line officer of the state that year for Arizona, and then she went on to win the national award as well.
That's
So
pretty awesome.
yeah, real awesome. I'm so proud of her. And it was funny because just the other day, about a week ago, the screenwriter sent my wife a portion of the script that she's working on, and my wife got to read it and see it, and just to see her face, thinking, you know, she looks
They're
at me.
writing about me.
I'm just a regular person. What do they want to know about me for? And
Right.
uh, I'm glad that during that time, she was on a lot of TV programs. Matter of fact, they flew her to Atlanta, Georgia. Actually, Bernice King flew her to
Hmm.
Atlanta, Georgia, to be that year in Atlanta at the Martin Luther King Center on Martin Luther King Day, and she was interviewed on stage by Bernice King, Martin Luther King's youngest daughter.
Wow.
And yeah, she blows me away, Pop. She just blows me away.
Well, Coach, we got some new uh, sponsors, bud.
Do we really?
Wayne Rivera at Cue Ball Morris
Nice. I
came
love
on.
the
He's up
logo.
he's up top there.
Top right, I got him.
And we'll have another one next week going up is Mercer Reptiles.
Nice.
So we're going to go ahead and do a few commercials and we'll get into some NIL discussion.
Let's do it.
Let me find which one I'm starting with. I can't see this morning. Where'd I go?
I I, I could sing a little tune here. Feel some time.
Start singing.
Start singing. I got you.
If you use coconut substrate, you're going to want to go to Chris from BNS Reptilia. He has Cocoa to Go, which is already broken up. He has the chipper in blocks. And he also has some really cool animals. Plus, he can make you a local coconut supplier. So go check out Chris at BNS Reptilia.
So all three of those breeders are outstanding men. We had Chris on behind the scenes yesterday.
Oh, really?
Had a great time.
Chris is one of my favorite people in the hobby, so you know.
Oh yeah, I know. I know.
I have so much respect for that guy. I just think he's top notch, man. I just think he's
I can't wait to see him down in Daytona here in a week or so. It's
oh
gonna be a
yeah.
great time, bud.
My daughter went to school in Daytona Beach. I've been to Daytona a couple times.
I've been there a time or two in my life.
I,
But
I
you know,
drove I drove past the Daytona 500. Okay, that's way, way huge. That's the biggest thing I've ever seen in my life, I think.
I think we're staying pretty close. We're staying at the Best Western at Speedway International.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I think we're pretty close. So we'll at least get to see it.
Yeah, you will. And I think that's where my wife stays when she goes out and she went out to their homecoming one year, uh,
Yeah.
just because she wanted to experience it and whatnot. So she went out there for one year, but whenever she would go out, I think she stays there at the Best Western.
We got C Dub in the house, Christopher Walker,
Hey, guys.
buddy. Of course, my wife always out and about for us. She said happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you.
And then our man Dennis West says we're his two favorite old people.
That's right. That's my guy. That's my brother from another mother, boy. Go Raiders, Dennis. Let's go.
True ghost mania.
Yeah.
My orange ghost girl ate good yesterday too. I was glad to see that.
That's right.
But
Us
so
Raider fans, we've got something to cheer for this year. We just think we might have
a quarterback.
a quarterback. And
Who's
not
that?
just
Who
a
is that?
a franchise quarterback. Fernando. I love it, man. He's coming from a school there you know about, don't you? Out there, and you what they? He went to Indiana.
Yeah,
Indiana.
right.
Yeah, Indiana's never been good. God, the
I was
Raiders
thinking,
ain't been good for a long time. Hope he can do what he did for the Raiders. What he did for the Raiders, same thing he did for Indiana football.
yeah. Where did the boy from Alabama go? I was thinking he went out there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't either.
I
But
just
we're
want
here today.
Fernando.
We're here today to talk about the NIL a little bit. Do you want to kind of break down what the NIL is, or do you want
Oh,
me to
it's
do
like
it?
an NIL is now. It's a it gives college athletes an opportunity, and even the high school athletes an opportunity to earn some money behind what might be their best talent at this time in their life, right? I mean,
Right.
and a lot of these colleges, these big schools are making all kinds of money hand over fist on these, football teams. And, whenever they have like a great athlete, they're making lots of money on the likeness and using their, videos and stuff to sell tickets. And usually the athletes and the students, the student athletes gets none of that. They still don't get any of it. And for a long time at least in our country, to be considered a not a professional athlete, but an amateur athlete, you weren't allowed to accept any money for what you did.
Right.
So it was
Yeah.
illegal for them to get any money. So now we've changed that thinking, and we've allowed these kids to, if they are able to, garner sponsorships or monies from wherever they can, raise it. It's legal now for them to do that. And I think that's a good idea because not all these kids are going to make it to the pros. And
Right.
some of them don't have a professional sport to get to, here in the country, like volleyball players or, soccer.
You know,
A
one
lot
of
of,
the biggest things I like about it is it takes some of the BS out of it, if you want to say that. Firsthand experience. I know a young man who's raised by his grandparents in college. His grandparents passed away while he was playing ball, and in that day, you couldn't give him a penny.
not at all.
But he was giving a suit and transportation to and from the funeral and stuff, and got busted for, the college got hit for it, which to me was as stupid as you can get.
Right.
But I guess when you have rules, you got to follow them for everybody. I mean, but it takes some of that out of there. So the NIL is basically the name, image, and likeness of the person, correct?
Yep.
And I guess July 1st, 2021 is when that first started out, and it was only that. But I think August 1st of this year, we have a 3-party governing system of it now in a way. House committee, the NCAA, and whatever state you're in. So unfortunately, it's not uniform across the country right now.
It's new.
And
It's pretty new. So
but right now they can just basically flat out give them money. It doesn't have to be name, image, or likeness.
right, you can just hand them cash right now.
And like we discussed backstage, I don't think a lot of people understand is some of these guys that seem normal or ordinary could become the biggest stars in National Football League. And those who we think right now are a hot commodity might flop.
Right.
But either way, any given day you step on that football field, whether it's practice or a game, could be your last.
Right. And any sport too, the same thing. They can. I know my daughter. She played high school volleyball was a 4-time, her fourth season as a varsity letterman. I mean, she played varsity as a freshman.
Right.
Her senior year, she goes out third practice, blows her knee.
Yeah.
So you never know. It's as any sport and anything where you're doing some sort of physical activity. There's always a chance of injury, and my daughter's senior year cost her any chance of any type of scholarship or at any type of big school. I mean, she was good, but she wasn't like everybody's standing there watching her as a junior. And so a lot of schools are like, she's a junior, we got her on the radar. We'll see her next year.
Yeah.
Well, then you're hurt. So so I think a lot of it is um, just so that they've got something that it's worth for them to put their body on the line for this, because like you bring up, the risk is real. The risk is real for something that you carry around for the rest of your life as an injury.
Exactly.
I mean, come on now. If this might be their only time to make money in that sport, because maybe they won't eat, like you say, they won't make it to the NFL.
Right.
They're not going to be that guy. But maybe they got a hot year or a hot season, and they can build something on that and make something out, some money. I'm not talking about, maybe you're not getting rich, but at least you got some money in your pocket.
I have always said from the beginning that I'm for this. I just don't personally like how it works. And here's my issue, and maybe I'm totally off budget. Maybe it's against the American way, but my thing is that lineman in the trench should get whatever that quarterback in the pocket's getting. They should get the same amount all across the board. If we vote or decide, the government or the House, the NCAA, everybody gets $100,000. I'm just picking a number, okay?
Right, I get you.
And I think that's the fairest way to do that. I mean, when it comes to name, image, and likeness, that's going to change a lot. But as far as anything else, I think they should all be treated the same across the board, and given those same opportunities, because no matter how good they are, what their future holds, hopefully they're all giving the same effort.
All right.
And they're taking the same risk.
Well, and the whole thing is, it's for linemen, it's if you're doing your job right, nobody even knows you're on the field. You know what I mean? The only time you people know you're on the field is when you get beat for a sack or you hold somebody. Other than that, they didn't even know you're there.
Unless you know the game, and then you realize that those running backs and quarterbacks and wide receivers are doing so great because that line's doing their job.
Right. You're talking to a guy who coached high school football for 20 years, and I was a
specialist.
I coach O-line. That's what I do. So, I hold them in the highest regard, and I think that that should be part on the your running backs and your quarterbacks and those guys that they say have are the skilled guys. I always told head coaches that I coached for, and we don't use that term here, skilled and whatever. We're all skilled. We linemen, we just have a different skill. You don't want us to make us angry, and we'll show you what skill that is. So, I always said, let's not say that here. We're not doing that skilled thing. It's
because there's
little guys and big guys if you want, but I don't want to be, they're skilled and what are we then? Unskilled?
Yeah, and I'll go as far as saying that the linemen are probably the most skilled people on the field, because the running back and quarterback sometimes is more instinct and natural ability than skill.
Well, not only that, but I've always said that the linemen got to be the smartest guys on the field, because a lot of times I always would coach my guys, we got to play 5 as 1, right? And there's got to be some way that we've got to be able to communicate to one another up and down, so everybody knows what everybody's doing.
Right.
So a lot of calls and communication, that's got to be quick, succinct, and we got to get it to everybody right now. And these kids got to be on top of it. They can't be half stepping it, or someone gonna get hurt. And then that's how I set it up to them. So they've got to look at the defensive front, make the adjustment in the blocking scheme that we got to make, because you've got a scheme, but if they slide one gap, that scheme's done. We got to change it.
And they
So
know, and they notice things and can make suggestions or whatever from the line. Because if you're a good offensive lineman or defensive, you can tell by setups, pressure on on their knuckles, their feet position, all kinds of different things if they're coming or they're setting, right?
yeah, every center that I've ever had play for me has called probably as many offensive audibles as the quarterback has called.
Right.
He just tells the quarterback, hey, check to this, check out of this, check out of this. And a lot of times in offense, we'll have a check to. If we're in this play and we get this, check to this. And most of the time, and it was one of my guys noticing it and saying to the quarterback, hey, we got it, check. And then the quarterback goes and says, oh yeah, okay. And then they'll make the audible call. But most of the times, especially the younger kids, those
Yeah.
audible calls are coming from the guys up front. They're the ones saying, hey, remember, we got to do this different, right?
And
Because it's not going to affect the quarterback and the running backs, really. They're going to do the same damn thing they were going to do, but we got to get a call shift, or, we might even go oppo, just that's the same play the other way, right? So
yeah,
now we're going to go from running it off tackle left to running it off tackle right, and I got to get 5 guys on the same page that quick.
exactly.
And like I said, they're usually the smartest kids on the field. And
I
so
agree.
take that, skilled players, you skilled guys.
I think great players realize who helped get them there. It's
Every
kind of
every every really good running back or really good quarterback that I coached in high school was completely understood and was completely on board. Right? I used to tell our quarterbacks all the time, "You're not the bad guy. I'm the bad guy.
right.
Let me be the bad guy. You be the good guy. They love you, right? They love you. Because if I love you, I'm going to go a little extra mile for you up front. If I
Oh,
don't
definitely.
like you, maybe this guy's going to slip by. I don't know. What do I let him
So
take a pot shot at you?
I guess in the NIL right now, there's still two major legal battles going on, from my understanding, and that's basically how they get paid, the method, or whether they are going to be actual under Title IX. Are they going to be employees or just eligible for revenue sharing distributions? And I think that's probably what the House is trying to figure out because the government wants their tax money, right?
Oh, they're going to figure out how to get a piece of it, man. Yeah. It's just like the marijuana thing. It's all illegal until they start talking about making it legal. Then the state's like, okay,
How can I get some
where's my
revenue?
part? How much is mine? And then, then it's all of a sudden wasn't such a bad thing, It's the same thing with the prohibition in alcohol. When they legalized alcohol, boy, they tax the hell out of it.
And you never know. We may have to fight one day. They may start coming to our houses and taxing us on reptile eggs or something.
No kidding. Come on now. They get a piece of everything. They're okay with everything as long as they're getting their cut.
Well, and it's taxes have so many names, right? You can call it a marriage license. You can call it a driver's license. You can call it anything. It's nothing more than a tax. They're just giving it names to try to get around people being upset about it.
Right.
I mean, what does it cost the state for you and your wife to get married? Not a damn thing.
Oh, damn thing.
But they're going to get that piece of paper.
And you got to get that money for that piece of paper.
Somebody in your city or county, whoever, governs the governing body is where you're at, they're going to collect that money.
Oh, definitely.
For stamping a piece of paper that they never give a shit about to begin with.
Right. Just for me to stamp it. There you go.
Welcome to America.
Okay. Now we'll just start throwing stuff in the harbor again, like we did back in the day.
Have a tea party, huh?
That's that. I think we vote with our dollars. Definitely. I think we let companies know when we're not happy with the way they're doing things. So you vote with your dollar. I'm not going there no more. When they stop getting that much business, then they'll change their ways. Maybe
we could definitely use our votes in a much more intelligent way. Unfortunately, as Americans, we want to talk the game, but we don't want to walk the walk.
Right.
The example being, I was in leadership of the Masonic Lodge in the state of Florida, and we had some budget issues coming up. This was back in the early 2000s,
Yeah.
and our district in Florida, we were District 1 up here in the Panhandle, was highly upset about this. One of them was a barber at the Masonic home was getting about a $30,000 to $40,000 raise in 1 year, and that's kind of hard to bite, for some people, especially in the Panhandle. It's not like Miami or Daytona with tons of cash floating around.
Right.
So I was elected or appointed or volunteered, whatever you want to put, to stand up on the Grand Lodge floor and speak about this. And I'm like the youngest Mason in Florida at the time. But I got it, right? So I get up and give my thing, and every person in the room stood up, applauded, and cheered me on, was all for it. Until 5 minutes later, when it was time to vote, they all voted for the budget because they didn't want to stay over and vote again. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we have good intentions, but we don't have any follow through.
Right. Right.
So you've coached a lot of ball players in your life, Coach.
Uh-huh.
How do you think NIL could have changed their lives? Because most of them probably weren't eligible for this.
No, most of them weren't. But I coach kids that made it to the NFL. I coach kids that I thought were going to make it to the NFL and didn't. And I just think a lot of these kids, when they're going to have a chance to go out and the world and make a living just like you and I did. And
Right.
I just think that if there's a point in your life where you're at the top of something, you should be compensated for it. And I just think it would have made things a little bit easier. Like I said, kids that I thought should have made it or had a chance to make it and didn't make it, maybe with this, they would have made it because they could have stayed in school or they could have maybe paid that first year or second year of college on their own because
Right.
they could have afforded it if they had something coming in for their, so it just changes their situation. And then maybe you end up with a kid who doesn't get their education, doesn't get a chance to play football because the school wants them to maybe pay half or
Right.
a portion of their tuition, or their preferred walk-on. You come on, you're a preferred walk-on. We want you to be here, and you can earn a
Spot.
scholarship.
Yeah.
So
And I think people don't always realize there's a lot of times those players you see on the field don't have a full ride.
right, a
And
lot of them
I
don't.
think everyone automatically assumes, well, man, they're there for free.
Right?
But it's not always the case.
No.
They only have so many scholarships they can give out at any given time or have on file or award each year kind of thing. And with the NCAA and the government getting involved in it, they're trying to figure all that out. And I think this year with the NIL Go, if you will, that they uncapped some of those things for them. But there's a big sacrifice a player, whether it's basketball, football, baseball, cricket, golf, I don't care what it is, they're putting a lot on the line.
It's like I said to you earlier, and I don't remember if we were on yet. May have been backstage, but it's such a long shot for these kids to make it there, right? And I often see, like if there's a kid who's gifted somewhere else,
Yeah.
People a lot of times will bend over backwards to make sure that this kid has an opportunity to be in this field and pursue this what he's good at. But when it's athletes, it's different, and I don't know why that is.
Right.
Because I used to point at things like in high school football out here in Arizona. Say if I'm a high school football player and I'm playing at high school A, we have open enrollment. So if I want to play at high school B because high school B has a better football program and does better things for their football program and their football players, and I want to change over there, okay, well, I got to now sit out a year. If I played football at the last school, I got to sit out the next year, and then the following year I can play again. Here's the thing. If there was a great saxophonist, you played a saxophone, was the best saxophone player anybody had ever heard, and that saxophone player or any saxophone player, any instrument player said, you know what, they have a better band program
Right.
over at high school B, so I'm going to transfer from A to B. They don't have any time where they can't, they go right in and just be on the band.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the difference with the kid who's playing football or baseball or anything else? He's trying to go to a different school to make a better situation for himself, which we've said we want you to do that because we have open enrollment. Pick your school, go where you want.
But lose a year.
But lose a year if you're an athlete. Just if you're an athlete. Say if you were a great kid in science and you knew, hey, they've got a great science program over at this school. Everybody would be applauding and saying, let's get that kid over to that school.
Right.
See,
and you know, there
we dance with everybody.
We've all seen it and heard it, and I'm sure you've experienced it. There's a lot of people who also make moves because of financial reason, deaths and families and things like that get affected the same way.
Same way.
And treated the same way. You know, a guy that's playing football, say in Ironton, Ohio, father passes away or something. Mom's in a bad shape. She got to move over across the river back to Kentucky with family. And now, you know, he has to change teams, and it's a problem.
Yep. And if they do that here in Arizona, say they had to move out of an affluent neighborhood because dad's income isn't there anymore, and they have to move even 2-3 miles away. Now he just wants to transfer to go to the school that's closer to home because it's easier for mom, and she's going to be by herself now.
Exactly.
He's sitting out a year. Doesn't matter.
Right.
He's sitting out a year.
And, you know, God forbid he's a junior, all state, got a great future. And then all of a sudden, my senior year, I can't play football, guys.
Yeah. So they did change it finally here. So they have to sit out half the year, the first 5 games, which, I mean, I don't
better
think
than nothing, I guess.
I don't think they should have to sit out any games. The band kid doesn't. The science kid doesn't. They don't get penalized in any way. Why do you penalize the football kid? Why did we make athletics
different,
something that's not good enough to be good at?
And you know, at the same time, why? Like you said, what's the difference between somebody playing in the band or color guard or a cheerleader?
Right. None of those kids would have to sit out of what they love doing for any time. And I think what we need to do is and so that's what we've always had on athletics. We've always had this thing like it isn't as good as. It's not as good as being, if you're good at football, it's not as good as being an incredible science student or whatever.
Well, people look at it the wrong way. They say, well, you know, he goes out there and plays football for an hour a week and gets paid $40 million. Well, buddy, there's a lot more than that hour in that week. There's a lifetime of struggle, pain, agony, stress, anxiety goes into that 1 hour.
Right. And his window of opportunity to make that money in his life is that long. So you better make what you can make, because you're not going to always have this income or this earning potential.
We have, you know, while we have several players who spend 18, 10, 15, 20 years in NFL, that's not normal.
Right. No.
You know, especially a lineman, 5 years and you accomplished something.
Right. I had a kid that I coached in high school, had like a 9-year NFL career. And he was like, coach, I wasn't in there that long. I mean, the average NFL career is 4 seasons.
Right.
Okay. So I said, you doubled it. I mean, what do you mean you weren't in there that long? You were there more than double. So, even, these,
and at minimum salary, they're going to do better than they would have done in the workforce.
Played defensive end, outside linebacker type of kid, played for the Redskins and the Buffalo Bills. And
right.
So it just was a great kid. I love to see him, have that success. But there was a kid, 9-year NFL career. If you would have said to me when he was in high school, I would have told you no way. He's he's not that good. But he was. Oh, but he was.
Right. Well, everybody has their favorites and things, but uh, going back on the kids moving districts and things like that, everyone automatically thinks that the coach or the administration is doing something behind the scenes to get them there. Yeah, that's normally not the case. They don't have anything to do with it. Like say somebody just has to move or this and that. I mean, does it happen? Man, we live in a real world with real life. Shit's going to happen, but it's
Right.
not the norm. I don't see football coaches and administrations going over to the neighboring high school and say, "Hey, let's find you a house over here and let you move in and play football for me." That's not happening in high school.
Well, I mean, is there recruiting happening? Sure, there's recruiting happening. And
Right.
if you get a kid recruited away from your school, I mean, if you're a high school coach like me, I never care to. You're not going to recruit my kids because my kids love me and they want to be here.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying. You got to create a
An
special
environment.
program, right? And if you got kids leaving, instead of looking at the kid and saying what's wrong with him and why are you guys pulling my kid, look here. What's wrong over here? Why are we losing kids? It's not the kids' fault. It's they're leaving something they don't like, or else they'd still be there.
And
And
they,
so I think the job is to build something that is special and build something that they'll enjoy and be successful.
and what you're saying there is a lot of times they're playing and choosing schools because of coaches and uh, relationship and not the school. And I think that's 100%. I would be willing to bet that several of the football players that played for Nick Saban at Alabama played for Nick Saban, not the University of
Right.
Alabama. They're
Oh,
doing the same thing for Kirby Smart or Dabo Sweeney or uh,
right.
Lane Kiffin or whoever the case may be.
So the guys that are afraid of recruiting are guys that know they're not putting a good product out there for kids. I was never worried about kids being recruited away from me. There was
Right.
no way I was ever worried about that. Kids came to not that way, and we were successful. We won a lot of football games, but we won a lot of football games because of the type of team we were, not because of the individuals we were. So,
And I get
football is the biggest team sport in the world, and so that's why I think with this NIL, you got just the quarterbacks and wide receivers raking like you talked about.
right.
We got to make sure that the kids that are up front taking care of the kids that are throwing the ball and catching the ball and running the ball are getting their fair share too,
I mean
right?
sometimes that field goal kicker is the most important person on the team at a certain point in the game, right?
Right. Or the guy catching that snap and putting it on the tee,
The punt returner that takes it back and wins the game.
right?
You know,
You
they're
never know. They're all important to you. They're all doing a job for you. They're all going out there, and I just think the kids that aren't going to be in the positions that in any sport. If you're not the ball handler in basketball, you're not the quarterback, wide receiver, running back. Even you're not touching the ball. You're not the focal point of people when they watch the game because they're going to watch the ball. Um, I mean, all those kids are going to struggle a little bit with this type of earnings, but I think there should be something in place where there's a program where I've heard them talk about where they spread it and make sure that not saying that if there's a guy that's obviously a standout, he should make more money.
right.
But if there's a kid there that's blocking for him and making so that he can do all of that and make that money, something should be over there too for him. So
I agree.
life is
And,
expensive
and
for
people don't
everybody.
realize sometimes that, we see pro football and everybody's great and a guy goes down. It don't make a lot of difference sometimes. But what we find out is in high school, you could be the man. You could be the best in the state, in the country. When you make it to college, you're just another Joe. And if you make it to NFL, you're even less of a Joe because everyone is at the top of their game. And at that point, you have so much skill. A guy goes down. They normally have somebody to stick in that hole that has skill, or the ability to play on that level.
Just like we talked about in the window between the great player and good players is about that big.
Right. But especially in high school and junior leagues and things like that, one player can make a hell of a lot of difference. My nephew was playing here, and he was playing. We started playing in like Pee Wee or whatever, all the way up to juniors and things like that. And he was a defensive end, and he was going to stop that backfield up every time. He was going to torment that quarterback. And it came his last year playing. It came down. Nobody could touch him, man. They were just wiping them off the field. And between the season and playoffs was about 3.5 weeks for whatever reason this time. I think we had a hurricane, maybe something like that happened, right? So he decided he didn't want to play anymore. Man, they never won another game because that one person stopping up and causing all that turmoil in the backfield and the pressure on the quarterback at that age level is tremendous.
Oh yeah, big time.
But the next level up, you go to high school, you go to college. I'm not that good anymore.
I used to tell kids all the time, the best kids, if they start getting a little bit full of themselves, a little bit of an attitude, and I kind of catch that early and just say to them, down here in high school, we kind of got, you're so good, we kind of got to put up with some of your shenanigans. When you go to the next level,
not happening.
They don't have to. They don't have to at all.
And, especially linemen are more your friends than you know of, because sometimes when you're being an asshole kind of thing and being arrogant and not giving effort, man, that shoestring could have come untied and they tripped and you got nailed, but you didn't.
Right.
But those things happen, and we've done those things. Sometimes you got to teach them a lesson.
Sometimes you got to kind of give them what the little Hank Williams Jr. attitude adjustment, right?
But then you have to decide if running the bleachers for 50 extra times after practice is worth that little lesson or not.
Yeah, I slipped, Coach. I don't know. I lost my footing.
We're going to jump over and throw a couple more commercials in for our sponsors.
Works for me.
And we'll be back in just a minute.
Looking to take your reptile game to the next level? Husbandry Pro is the all-in-one tool serious keepers and breeders trust. Track feeding, sheds, weight, breeding, and lineage, all in one place. Monitor your entire collection with ease, stay organized, and never miss a detail again. Whether you've got a few snakes or a full-scale operation, Husbandry Pro keeps your records dialed in and your animals thriving. And right now, you can try it. Free. Use code RIVENSFORGE. 60 and get 60 days free. That's Husbandry Pro, built for keepers by keepers.
ReptileAds.com is the modern marketplace for buying and selling reptiles, amphibians, and exotic pets. Built by Purple Turtle Technologies, we're creating the most trusted platform in the industry. Join thousands of breeders and collectors on the most trusted reptile marketplace. List your animals, connect with buyers, and grow your business with Reptile Ads. Enjoy our easy access to stores as well as a genetic calculator for your convenience. Stop by and check us out today.
And that code for Husbandry Pro is RivensForge60. When you sign up for Husbandry Pro, you get a free 30 days, I believe. After that expires, you can enter that code and get an additional 60 days for free to determine if you're going to use us or not. And for cataloging your reptiles, I don't think there's a better opportunity out there, because I can just walk by when I feed or whatever, scan a barcode, and it's recorded. Don't have to do anything else, and we're done. Before, I used to walk around. Now, did I feed this one? Did I feed this one? Did I do that?
Right.
Kind of thing. Well, where do you see the NIL going in the future, or how do you think it can become better, Coach?
Like I said, I think they need to do something where they get to smooth the funds so that the kids that are, doing the grunt work and just about every sport, everyone should benefit if one person is. I think so. I really do. I think the big thing we got to keep, our eye on is that we're helping kids, right? And we're trying to do what's best for them. I also believe that with this money becomes a lot of responsibility. I think we need to be making sure that these kids are getting some sort of financial
Education, yeah.
education as well. And I think just having some money is going to give them that too. But I think when we start handing kids, larger sums of money, I think you just want to make sure that they understand, what that money can mean for them and how it could work for them, instead of
Bi-
spend for them.
Most students come from middle income or less families.
Yeah.
And even at we say it's minuscule, but compared to what a lot of them get, even if they all got 100 grand apiece, regardless of your outlook or where you're on there, man, that's more than some of their parents made in 5 years.
Right.
And
And even if it's not 100 grand, even if it's 20 grand or
right,
10
whatever the
grand,
number.
it's a lot of money. It's going to help out the kid. It's going to help out the parents, and everybody knows. It's just, if I have an earning potential right now and I'm making money for somebody else, I should get to dip my toe in the water. That's all I'm saying, right? I should be able to play too. I should be able to get a little something, something as well.
Well, I highly believe that a lot of times coaches and educators forget they have a fiduciary responsibility to these kids, which their financial outlook. If coming out of high school, if I'd have went into college and got $100,000, I'd have spent it in 3 days because all that stuff I could never have, I could have, and I would have wasted my opportunity.
Right. And see, that's what I think we need to make sure that we're educating these kids and going, hey, you've got all this money. If you put some of it away in this type of account, in this many years, you're going to have this much money. And
I mean, I wouldn't be,
guarantee.
I don't like government interactions and having their hands and everything, but if they made a law, something like with the NIL collectives and all that kind of stuff, to say, you're going to get this much and you can have 20% of it now while you're in school, but until you turn 25, the rest of it's going in trust for your benefit.
Right. I think that's not a bad idea at all. I really don't.
That way they get a little more under their belt, a little more education, a little understanding about finances in the world.
I like that idea. I think you brought up a good point. And that's the point I was trying to make. I think you made it a little better than I did. Young people are going to be young, and they're going to be spontaneous, and they're only going to think of today. And so I think we need to help them out and say, okay, but you're making all this money now. Don't you think that maybe if we had a little something on the side 5-6 years from now,
right? By the time they're 25, they're either out of college or on their way to the NFL.
Right.
And if they're on the way to NFL, it didn't make a damn difference anyway because the money's great.
Right.
If they didn't make it there, they have something to start on in life.
Right. And they got something where they don't have to say, the day I walk across that stage, by the time I get to the other side, graduated, there better be a job waiting there for me.
Right.
Give you a little bit of wiggle, a little bit of, hey, I don't have to be, employed the day I walk down the stairs on the other side of the graduation stage.
Exactly. Takes a lot of pressure off, I would imagine.
It really does. It should.
Kind of thing. But
I like that idea. You ought to send that idea in. That's a good idea.
Well, they probably thought about it, but I can do something like that.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find something here real quick. How do you feel about Division 2 and 3? Because in reality, the NIL really only covers Division 1.
I don't know. I just think if there's money to be made, let them make the money. There might not be any money to be made. That's the whole thing. I mean, it's like,
well, you got. I mean, there's HBCU schools or whatever they call them, historically black colleges.
Yep.
A lot of those have good support from their community.
Right.
And there's money there, but them being a Division 2 or 3, they don't have to help the kids that way.
Right. And they don't really. My daughter went to an HBCU. They're in Daytona. And they don't get any federal assistance from the
Okay.
government at all. It's all by donations and alumni type stuff. And
Right.
so, like I said, if there's money there to be made and there's a pot that they can, start putting some money in, I don't care what it is. I think if the school is making money, selling tickets and whatnot, then the kids should have an opportunity to make a little money too.
Well, do you think the NIL has created more of a free system or a system controlled completely by schools and conferences?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's so darn new that it's you know, I think we got to really watch it because whenever money's involved, you're going to have people want their hand in the cookie jar. So
Definitely.
you got to have somebody who's going to at least
So,
and the corruption and everything and everything these days. So it's hard. It's hard to say how it should be done and how it should be distributed, but I know there should be an opportunity for kids to make a couple of bucks if they're playing at a level where the school, the team, whoever is making money.
if they're profiting, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, anytime we get people involved in trying to govern and regulate things, you get some pretty weird things happening. So I'm trying to figure out where this $600 reporting threshold came from. I mean, I can give you $599 and nobody ever has to know. But it hits $600. We got to document this stuff.
and it's the same way. It's always $600. Like if you go and you bet on a horse race and you win $580, you're good. You don't have to say nothing. But if you win 600, that has to be reported to the government.
I
You have
wonder,
to fill out a form right there at the races.
I wonder where the 600 number ever came from. Again, it seems ridiculous to me.
And you think that it's been
I mean,
$600
$5,000
forever and ever.
$5,000, I understand. $600 is crazy.
Right. $600 today is like,
Going out to dinner.
$6,000 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But so why is that $600 amount not grown? Why hasn't it gotten to say, okay, well, now it's 40 years later, the $600 amount should be $2,400 or something, or $3,000.
Right.
But I mean, it's still $600. You got to pay taxes anytime an income more than 600. They want to know about it.
Well, Coach, if you were the chairman of the NCAA, how would you work this?
God, geez, I don't. You're probably not. I'm not a smart enough man to figure out how to do it. I just know that we should be trying to make the best program possible because these are still just kids, and we should make sure that if one goes, they all go.
Yeah.
Everybody should get something, and
I
then I love your distribution idea, whereas they get a percentage of it, and the rest of it goes into some sort of
Trust or whatever.
trust
Right.
or something for them for when they're done with school. And now here you go. Now you're set up and you can, start your life. I think it'd
And
be a great deal.
that could be implemented and mandated through contracts. You sign scholarship deals and things. That's a contract,
Right. It definitely is.
and those things can be implemented in there and enforced easily because of that situation because it's a legal business transaction.
Yeah, you're already getting them to sign, right? You might as well just include it all at the same time.
Especially, you got this young quarterback coming out of high school into college, and he's the next greatest thing to ever become, right? NIL, he's going to make millions of dollars and has no idea how to handle that right now.
At all.
His
But
parents,
that's what they do in the
his
NFL
parents
too.
have never handled that kind of money more than likely. And that's where I think that comes in. Hey, you get this $1 million, you can have 200 grand, but the 800 grand is going over here till you're 25 years old. Then you're a little older, more mature, you can handle this and better your life
Right.
than going out and buying a brand new truck tomorrow and buying your girlfriend that's going to dump you next week a brand new car.
And a bunch of alcohol and maybe some other stuff you shouldn't be putting in your body.
Right. Open up things that they don't need to be exposed to.
Right. I never could afford to buy this crap before, but now I can. So,
And that opens up that's a great point. It opens up a whole nother thing because then you have the pressure. I got this money, and they got all these physical enhancement, physically enhancing and mentally enhancing drugs out there that can push me farther and faster, and it don't.
Well, that's the thing. You just got to make sure that we're educating them, the kids. You know, kids are going to do what they're going to do. The thing that I always just try to do with the kids is just say, here's the issues, here's, the problems that can arise. Understand whenever you do something, there's going to be some sort of fallout from that, whether it's good or bad. So,
Right.
um, you just want to make sure you can handle and look yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, man. So,
Definitely. Well, before we get ready to close, I got a couple of things I want to touch on. Carl and John at Satchmo's and Void Century on their show tonight, The Breeding Ground on YouTube. It's the Breeding Grounds channel. They're going to be putting out a bioactive build off competition. So everybody they're going to take like however many people enter, choose randomly these reptiles, put them on a spinner wheel and spin it for each person, and then you build a bioactive enclosure for that animal. You don't have to go out and buy a green horn frog or a GTP, but you build it for that animal on the standards of care that animal needs and the decoration kind of thing. And then when that's said and done, they'll have a trophy for the winners. But several people are going to take their bioactive build off, take them to expos and things to be auctioned off or raffled off kind of thing. And those funds next year will go directly to Deeds Not Words 3.
okay.
That they do for our veterans and things. So we appreciate that. And I've got in with some folks on TikTok. They call them the Royal Dynasty or RD. And they are doing some competitions on TikTok where you'll say if you paired Coach and I up, we'd go against two other breeders and basically in categories show our best snakes and see what they prefer. Just something to put content out there and push the hobby forward. So I think those are all great ideas and trying to do that. But in closing though, Coach, anybody you want to shout out, anything you want to say? I know you need to say something out to your beautiful wife.
Yeah, I just want to tell my wife I love her. Happy anniversary, babe. The other thing I'd like to say is I put up 2 husbandry videos back to back on my YouTube channel, Coach's Royal Reptiles. Go check them out. They've not done well, but the video that I've got coming out this Saturday or Friday or Saturday this week, you don't want to miss. We had such a great time at a friend of mine's place in her snake room yesterday, Saturday, and it was got some footage for that. So want to watch that. Also, Wednesday nights, Keys Constrictors and myself also do another podcast called Balls and Things. And so we're going to talk about the hobby, and we have guests on, every week. And that is on Keys Constrictors too,
Right.
on YouTube. And please tune into that.
And he does a few different ones. He does one with Justin at Pressure Python, and then normally we do Hair Down Fridays. I know the last couple of weeks I don't think he's felt real well, but I'm sure that'll still be going on.
Yeah, I think he skipped last Friday, but Hair Down Fridays on Keys Constrictors 2 channel on YouTube again. It's so much fun. I would say if you're out there, hit Keys up and get on the panel, man. And it's so much fun. Show your snakes off, get to talk to other breeders, and it's like a big conference call. It's a great time.
And I can prove he'll let anyone on because he lets us on.
Yeah, he let me do it. So,
well, I do want to thank you for doing this with me, Coach. We'll be back on Friday morning. I don't know what we're going to discuss yet, but we'll figure something out.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest the following Friday we skip because I'll be in Daytona and doing, with Expo and things down there. So I probably won't be in the podcasting mood or whatever. I probably will end up rescheduling my Sunday show as well. I may do it live. We'll see. I don't know, but Friday morning may be a reach next week. And tonight,
this week we're going to be. Next week we're not. We'll probably be off.
right? This week we will. Next week not.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Well,
right.
tonight you have the Breeding Grounds on the Breeding Ground YouTube channel. On Tuesday you have the LMK show. On Wednesday you have the Morph Forge family, of course. On Thursdays RWO. Friday we have several, Hair Down Fridays and some other ones. You got Keys on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I believe. On Saturday, you have Sipping with Serpents. And on Sunday, we have several. We have Behind the Scales with me and Brother Mike Duval, Three Blind Mike. Love the man. F&A's on that day. I think Morph and Ivy's on Friday or Saturday night. But if you'll watch the outro video, it will go through all these different podcasts. And do me a favor, for me, for G-Paw, go and follow these people, like, subscribe, and watch. Because the interaction in the comments and things is what we do this for. We want to know that we're out there making a difference, and that's what we do this for. So until this Friday morning at 9 o'clock, G-Paw out.
See ya.